I have multiple personalities, but one of us is missing. I suffer from dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. Despite the name implying it is a disorder and that there's something wrong with me, I've always found comfort in it. My father beat me when I was young, threw me across the room, slapped me harder than necessary, and left major bruises and spots that clothing would cover. This was when Marty emerged. Marty would endure all my physical pain. When my father went through one of his episodes, Marty would be there to take the pain. He never cried or gave my father any satisfaction in the pain he was delivering. Eventually, my mother got the courage to leave my father, and we moved far away. Marty stayed with me, though. Whenever pain was involved, he would still take over, even in minor cases. There isn't much to Marty other than his ability to absorb pain, but I've always appreciated him nonetheless. After running away from my father, it was just my mother and I. Well, and Marty. We didn't have a lot of money, but my mom still did her best to give me the best life possible. She found a job in the city waiting tables. She barely made enough to scrape by. I was enrolled in school and immediately faced a new problem. My clothing was cheap because it was the best my mom could afford. Due to this, I was ruthlessly made fun of by my classmates. Marty was used to taking physical pain, but not emotional. Soon enough, Sheldon was born. Sheldon took the insults with stride and always had a witty comeback. He had a confidence that I could never imagine having myself. Sheldon helped me in all the ways that Marty could not. Thanks to Sheldon, I even became somewhat popular among my peers. Even when he took it too far, Marty was there to step in if anyone wanted to try something. I was still in control most of the time, but I don't think I could have made it through life without my disorder. I recently graduated college, with the money mostly coming from scholarships. Sheldon had helped me set up connections, and I had a pretty decent job directly after graduation. The only downside was my boss was a complete asshole. Luckily, I had Sheldon to take care of that for me, though. Well, I had Sheldon for that, but then he was gone. I discovered this one day when my boss called me into his office. He began his usual tirade about my numbers not being up to par, yelling as loud as his voice would allow him. I waited for Sheldon to take over, but he didn't. I sat through the entire lecture. I began to sink into my chair, and I must have begun to look visibly distressed because even my high-tempered boss eased up. I was shaken. I hadn't had to deal with this on my own in years. Sheldon had always done it for me, or at least been there to help me through it. Even my asshole boss apologized to me that day, sending me home early to get some rest. I'll explain how my personalities usually work. As I previously stated, I am usually in control. When in control, I can still hear Marty and Sheldon in my head. Marty isn't usually much of a talker, but Sheldon, on the other hand, always loves a good conversation. When one of them takes control, I can still see everything that happens, but I can't feel anything. No emotion, no pain. It's almost like a dream. Neither of them ever take control for too long, just as they are needed. I began to scream in my head for Sheldon. There was no response from anyone. I had thought it was odd that he had been quiet all day, but I assumed he was just resting. He does that from time to time, but he never abandons me when I need him. After hearing no response, I began to fear the worst. Was Marty gone too? I slammed my hand as hard as I could against the wall, and when I felt no pain, I breathed a sigh of relief. "Where is Sheldon?" I asked Marty in my head. "You really shouldn't do things like that," Marty replied. "Well, next time speak up when I'm screaming in my head. Now where the fuck is Sheldon?" "I don't know. I haven't heard from him all day, same as you." "Fuck," was all I could think. He couldn't just vanish like that, could he? I obviously still wasn't over my emotional problems. I needed him. Had I relied too much on Sheldon? Probably, but that didn't explain his disappearance. Did there need to be a logical reason for him to leave me, though? Even if he was a split piece of me, he was still part of me, but I didn't know how long I could survive without him. When I got home, I immediately opened my laptop and began to search for cases of dissociative personality disorder. I wanted to find anything about cases where a personality just suddenly disappeared. After hours of searching, I gave up. There was nothing that helped me. That was until I saw an ad. It was one of those obvious scam ads that pops up on the side of the screen when you're searching through an article. This one stood out to me, though. All it said was, "Missing something? We can find it." I was desperate, so I clicked the ad, possibly risking infecting my computer with something. The ad led me to a site that only contained a text box in the center, with the question above it, "What are you missing?" Even though the whole situation was crazy, I continued to type out my problem in the text box. I explained my problem and how what I was missing wasn't an object, but rather a part of me. Once I finished typing it all out, I hit enter, and my message disappeared. "We will find what you are missing. Please prepare a payment method." This text appeared now on my screen, but there was no place to enter credit card information or any other payment methods. What kind of scam was this? I ran several virus checks on my computer, and it came up clean. I know there are certain viruses that can bypass that, but if that was the case, there was nothing I could do. 2 days passed. I didn't leave my house. I called into work informing them I was sick. Well, I couldn't call. I texted one of my coworkers asking him to inform my boss of my absence. I didn't want to risk any backlash. Losing Sheldon had really crippled my mental state. On the second day, however, I heard a knock at my door. I was almost afraid to answer it. What if it was my boss, coming to scold me for missing work? I couldn't just hide in my house forever, though, so I cautiously answered the door. Standing on the other side was not my boss. Instead, it was a strange-looking man. He was short. There was nothing particularly abnormal about his face, but something about him just seemed off. He was wearing a fine suit, perfectly tailored to him. "Hello?" I said questioningly.
"Hello, my name is Adam. I'm here today because I was informed you were missing something. Lucky for you, we've found it," the man said in a voice that seemed like it was made for the radio.
"You found what I was missing?"
"Yes, you are missing one of your personalities, correct? You called him Sheldon?"
How?" I asked, dumbfounded. How was any of this possible? I hadn't put an address in the site. Had this man hacked my computer? Had he really found Sheldon?
"Well, I know this seems rather strange, but I'll need you to come with me," Adam said.
I knew it would be a bad idea going with a stranger, but I was truly desperate. If this man had any chance of bringing Sheldon back, I had to take it. The website was the only person or thing I had ever told about Sheldon, so this man was obviously associated with it. "Okay," I said as I followed the man to his car. The man ushered me into his black 4-door car. He sat next to me in the back, seeing as how he had his own driver. The ride to our destination was almost entirely silent. Eventually, the man did speak up, though.
"I understand you are probably a bit nervous, but you've nothing to worry about. We have what you are missing, and you will have it back soon enough," Adam said.
"I just don't understand how any of this is happening," I said, replying honestly. Adam smiled before responding.
"You don't need to worry about that. The world works in mysterious ways."
After he said this, we seemed to be pulling into a building. I would find out what was going on soon enough. Adam led me out of the car and into a room. It was much like what I would imagine a therapist's office would look like. Despite my disorder, I had never actually been to one. Was Adam a therapist of some sort? We both took seats in the room.
"Would you like something to eat or drink before we begin? Perhaps some fruit?"
Adam said as he pushed a bowl of apples in front of me. "I'm fine, thanks. Can we just get whatever this is over with?" I said. I almost immediately regretted my words, though. What if what I said upset him? Should I just eat an apple and apologize?
That's fine. We can begin. I'm sure you've heard of hypnotism before, correct?
Adam said. Of course. Are you going to hypnotize me? I asked.
Well, not exactly, but that's simply the best comparison I could think of to what I'm going to do. You see, your personality didn't just disappear. It was stolen.
Stolen? How is that even possible? How could someone steal a part of me without me knowing?
I understand this is a bit confusing. I don't know if I could explain it in terms that you would understand. Just know that we have found Sheldon, and I can give him back to you.
Okay, then let's do this. At this, the man pulled out a small box. The box had several engravings on it. I wasn't exactly sure what they were. They were quite intricate, though. Adam opened the box. From where I was sitting, I couldn't see what was in the box. Adam stood up and approached me with the box. He kept it high enough that I still wasn't able to see inside. Eventually, he stood right in front of me.
Please close your eyes and reach inside the box, Adam said.
It was too late to ask questions, so I did as he said. I clenched my eyes shut and reached inside the box, not knowing what I was looking for. As I placed my hand in the box, I couldn't feel a bottom. I continued to lower my arm into the box, but this shouldn't have been possible. Was there a false bottom? My arm was inside the box as far as I could reach, but I still couldn't feel a bottom. I hadn't felt anything. What was going on?
Stop just aimlessly feeling around. Look for what you desire, Adam's voice said.
What I desire? Right, Sheldon. I began to think of Sheldon as I moved my hand around in the void. The part of me that had protected my frail emotional state. The part of me that had become more important to me than anything. Then, I felt something. I grabbed onto it. It was heavier than I expected. It took everything I had to pull it out of the box. But when I felt my hand leave the box, the weight disappeared, and a familiar voice popped into my head. "What have you done, you idiot?" said the voice of Sheldon. "What do you mean, what have I done? I got you back," I responded. "Yes, but at what cost?" Before I could question what he meant, Adam spoke up once again.
"I believe you have found what you were missing. You can now open your eyes," he said.
"Oh yes, sorry. Thank you so much," I said.
"Don't thank me yet. We have yet to discuss your payment."
"Oh, right. How much does something like this cost?"
"Well, we already took the liberty of checking your bank account, and it wasn't nearly enough. So we've taken something else instead."
"Taken something else? What do you mean?" Before I could finish my sentence, Adam punched me with full force. I fell to the floor in excruciating pain. Pain? Did that mean... "Yes, he's gone," Sheldon said from inside my head. "Why?" I said out loud. It was all I could think to say.
"Well, as much as we've learned about Sheldon, he's not quite useful to us. Marty, on the other hand, is. He doesn't just absorb your pain for you. He doesn't feel pain at all. Can you imagine the possibilities if we could manifest this? Sick people wouldn't have to feel pain. Athletes would no longer be burdened with the pain of injuries. Most importantly, a soldier who feels no pain could truly perform his duties until the end," Adam said. "Please," I whimpered. "No need to be selfish. We gave you what you wanted. You have gone most of your life with no pain. It's time to share." After Adam said this, I saw his foot begin to rapidly approach my head. Soon, the world was dark. I woke up with a massive headache. I was no longer in the therapy room. No, I was in my bed. I checked my phone. 4 hours had passed since I remembered leaving my home with Adam. On my laptop, I found a note. It simply said, "If you search for what is now missing, the consequences will be deadly." Before I could even contemplate what to do next, Sheldon spoke up. "We have to get Marty back, or something terrible is going to happen."